the idea of situations and circumstances, that oftentimes people find themselves in situations and circumstances that are not ideal or not what we think they should be or what we want them to be. And we have to overcome them. So like Gracie said, you walk by faith. Can you guys dive? We're just going to make this me interviewing the two of you because, at this point, we've gone so far off the normal operating procedure that
awesome.
we're just going to run
guys,
with it.
Those of you who are watching, I guess I just show up and I blow up the whole, here's the order. This is how it normally happens. Leon comes out here, it's like, wrap it.
But it seems like everybody's enjoying it, so that's good.
Great. Hey,
we're
getting semi-casual chats in here, so I like it.
I would say something with that situations and I can't think what the other word was, but circumstances. Is that also it's not always like massive situations and massive circumstance. Because to me, like I'm reminded there was actually shortly before Jeremy and I kind of like started talking and whatever. I was walking to work one day because I missed the bus or something. So I had to take a different one and I had to walk a good section. And I was just walking and I'm like, it's my everyday thing. Like it was nothing weird or out of the normal. It's just, this is my everyday thing. I'm going to work, opening up 6:30 in the morning. I usually love this walk actually. And I just thought to myself, wow, what am I doing? Like, this is all my life is supposed to be. I'm going to open up a cafe. I'm going to, serve people food and I'm going to interact with people and then I'm going to clean up and then I'm going to, go to the next thing and then I'm going to go to, whatever else I had that day. And it just like, I felt like, wow, there has to be more because this is just, I don't know, not what I want out of life. It's just not enough. So it wasn't that it was like, wow, that was really tough and I couldn't do it. And it was bearing down on me or anything like that. It wasn't like massive. It wasn't like overwhelming. It was just like, what am I doing with my life? And it was just in the everyday that particular situation of my everyday caused me to go, what it is that I really, want to get out of life. And that's when, I met Jeremy for the first time. And, I'm putting my thinking cap on to find somebody to set him up with. I said, so like, what are you looking for in a girl? What's important to you? And he says to me, he's like, oh, well, when you think of her and you think of me, do you think of us together making a kiddush Hashem, of doing good in the world, of making a difference? Like, that was the first thing he ever told me as like top priority for him. Right. And so, in that, I think sometimes it's in that mundane everyday life. Those situations and circumstances are sometimes where, you have to realize God's not going to ask of more of you than what you can do. Because, as I do wear a lot of hats, sometimes life can get overwhelming because there's a lot of little moving pieces. And there's a lot going on, and there's, this has to be taken care of, and this is coming, and there's this due date, and there's that thing, and all this stuff is happening. So it can be very quick to like just let life overwhelm you, and then you forget. But you're here for a reason, and you're doing all these things for specific purpose. Like, you have goals that you're going after, and there's things that you're trying to achieve, and there's a reason that you're dealing with this client, or this business is having this setback, or my child is teething and not sleeping, and like there's all of these things that happen in our lives, and it's, I feel like, easier to get stuck in that everyday mundane. Yeah. And go, oh, it's too much. I can't do it. Because oftentimes when we have those big events in our life, there's people there to support us. There's people there to help us. There's people there helping to just remind us. Sometimes that's all we even need. So I think that, we often think when we say that statement of, more won't ever be asked of us, we think we go big with it. Like we go, oh, worst case scenario, which is exactly, Jeremy, what you and I were talking about a couple months ago of something was happening. I don't even remember the specific situation was in our life, but something was happening and we like prepared for the worst case scenario. Oh yeah. Like we were bootstrapped in for like world to end and like worst case scenario. And then the best thing ever happened. And I looked over to Yermi. We were driving out, pulling out of our driveway right over here. And I said, you know what? We never planned of like, what would it look like for the best possible case scenario? Like, why do we do that? Like, why as humans do we always go to like, okay, the worst case scenario would be this, and then this is going to go here, and then that's going to fly away. And then all the energy we poured here is like, we catastrophize things so fast to the negative. Why don't we ever do it to the positive? So we try. I won't say we're the best at it yet. But
we're working on it.
Like when we have things that are, that we're looking at becoming a little overwhelming or something. Like, okay, so that's the worst case scenario, or that's an okay scenario. Maybe it's not worst case, but it's not ideal. But what would be the ideal scenario? What would this look like in the most ideal? Like, let's talk that out. Like, what would that look like? And that to me is so helpful, because even though I do tend to be a very positive person, I can catastrophize to the negative very fast too. And then a lot of fears creep in, and then I can, make decisions from a fear-based situation. And we all know I don't like to make decisions. So I have to be like in that, more positive, I guess, mind space or mindset. But to me, that comes to bear in that everyday mundane life, but also in those, those bigger decisions or bigger situations that maybe a lot's riding on or that you're waiting for. But yeah.
Wow. I love that you specifically focused on the day-to-day, because I think a lot of us, myself included, asking for a friend, that's the thing, is like we forget that like crises aren't always these massive things. They really are the day-to-day. What am I doing with my life? And I think so many more people can relate to that than they can to like the big crises. Like, I used to look up to people like, I still do, but I used to look at people like Nick Vujicic and all these other people who have, physical
disabilities
that they overcame, and they became rock climbers and swimmers, and and I used to say, God forbid I should be like that, so that I could be able to be that inspirational. And that's not the point. Like in a way, it's not to downplay them, but
no, for sure,
through the day-to-day life, that's amazing. Get through life and pursue something great. That's just as amazing, for you as an individual. But the other thing that you said that I wanted to focus on for a second. Focus. That's a new word I made up.
Focus. Focus.
Focus. Was, gosh, dagnabbit.
Think about it, Baruch, because I want to make one thing. Is I do think that, and I don't know if it's because of social media and that everything, a picture didn't happen kind of situation, is that everything in our life like needs a story now. Yeah. Like, wow, to make my brand go somewhere, I need to have some story. I was talking with my sister the other day, and I was sharing with her, the cost of a specific speaker, like what the cost was to have them like come speak at your event. And it was like, $20,000 for one gig or something. And my sister's like, whoa, I'm in the wrong business, people. I will make a story happen. Okay. Like, hello. And like, just jokingly, obviously. But because like everybody lives their private life so publicly, I think a lot of us feel like our story has to be good enough. We have to craft it in a way that, sounds as life impactful as, wow, this person who lives on stage. Right. And then we can feel small in our own lives, right, and our own accomplishments, even though they're just as big, because there are accomplishments. Or the reverse can happen. We don't feel like our problems or our challenges or our difficulties are big enough to really be hard. Yeah. Even though for us, they may be hard. Not for somebody else, they may not be hard. But, just because, a mouse can't lift what an elephant can doesn't make it a lesser mouse. It's a mouse, not an elephant. Right. They're just two different creatures designed for two very different purposes in the world. So I think that, in today's day and age, it's very easy to be like, oh, I need that story. I need to be that person to be worthy to be listened to be worthy to be heard, to bring my voice to the table, to, all the different reasons that people have today.